Game of which doesn't belong. Which doesn't belong and why? Baker Mayfield, Russell Wilson, Joe Flacco, all quarterbacks facing their former teams week one. It's not 100% sure it's going to be Joe Flacco against the Ravens, but it's trending that way. Which doesn't belong and why out of Mayfield, Wilson, and Flacco?
Give me Joe Flacco, because in the year of our Lord 2022, I just have a hard time believing that he should be a starting caliber quarterback. Whereas Russell Wilson, Baker Mayfield, those guys, we know they can start football games. If they're at their best, they can win football games, right? And they've also got a little more mobility than a Joe Flacco. So if you're giving me those three, Flacco to me is the one that doesn't belong.
And look, I say this all the time, and I'm going to say it again because I've never said it to you, I don't think, on this program. I respect Joe Flacco because he is the only, that I'm aware of, former franchise quarterback, once upon a time the highest paid player in the NFL, who keeps hanging around the game, who loves it enough to set his ego aside and just be backup quarterback guy, right? Yeah. He doesn't need the money. He's doing it for the love of the game. And I respect that. I think Wilson doesn't belong because of those three, he's the one who left. He's the one who wanted out. Baker Mayfield got kicked to the curb by the Browns. Joe Flacco got kicked to the curb by the Ravens when they drafted Lamar Jackson. Russell Wilson is the one who would still be in Seattle, but for the fact that he made the power play to get out. All right, three quarterbacks in a far different position. Tua Tagovailoa, Daniel Jones, Jalen Hurts, all who need to prove themselves this year and who could be down to their last chance. Which doesn't belong and why?
Give me Jalen Hurts, because Jalen Hurts has at least led his team to the playoffs before. And look, I think that, yeah, he does have something to prove this year, and who knows what the Eagles are going to do if Jalen Hurts doesn't, prove himself or whatever it happens to be. But Jalen Hurts has shown that he can go in there and he can lead a team and he can be a good quarterback. Now, I think they're going to need him to use more of his arm this year than he did last year, when they basically flipped the whole offense around, became one of the best rushing teams in the league, and used his legs in that way. And I give Nick Sirianni a lot of credit for being able to adjust on the fly like that. But, I mean, Tagovailoa hasn't necessarily proven much of anything, and he's got a great situation down there. Daniel Jones, I mean, I don't know, man. He just doesn't really pass the eye test for me, at least not yet. We'll see what he can do with Brian Daboll, but I think Hurts doesn't belong in that group.
Well, I'm going to say Hurts for a slightly different reason.
Okay.
We don't believe he belongs in that group because we don't believe he is on thin ice. But I think the Eagles have such a wandering eye when it comes to quarterback in a low-key way. They don't do it clumsily like the Dolphins do. But I think they're always looking for an upgrade. And even though they went out and traded for Jalen Hurts' good friend, A.J. Brown, and I guess it would be awkward if they would move on from Hurts after this year, but I just think from everything I've heard, if he stinks, then what do you do? And if you're A.J. Brown, this is the guy who's throwing me the football, and if he's not getting me the football, then let's get somebody in here who can get me the football. But I think that we don't appreciate how tenuous Jalen Hurts' status could be because the Eagles do a good job of not broadcasting their intentions to the world. But I still think they continue to be constantly looking for that guy who would be a short-list franchise quarterback. And let's face it, I know people are mad because the Raiders talked to Tom Brady about, taking the job and Derek Carr would have been kicked to the curb. Well, until you are one of the true top five quarterbacks, you're always going to be at risk of your team deciding we need to go get one of the true top five quarterbacks. We have to do it. If we can do it, if we have the opportunity to do it, how would we say no to it? Because if you have one of the true top five quarterbacks in the NFL, you are a contender every single year. Your stadium is full every single week. You're selling jerseys all year long. You're developing a bigger fan base coast to coast. There are so many positives that come from having a Tom Brady, a Patrick Mahomes, an Aaron Rodgers. There's so much good that comes from that of course you would consider that. So any of these three teams, if they could get themselves into a position where they had a short-list franchise quarterback, they would do it next year, including the Eagles.
Yes, absolutely. I totally agree with you. I mean, and especially if you've got guys like Brown and Devontae Smith, Yeah, you would want that quarterback to be able to help those guys, and those guys can help elevate the quarterback too. So if the Eagles have an open situation at quarterback next offseason, that's one where you might see a guy try to maneuver their way into Philadelphia.
And look, I'm not uncomfortable saying all this because Jalen Hurts is unaffected by it. Nick Sirianni, the coach of the Eagles, praised him recently for the fact that nothing bothers him. I mean, he's walking by the stands at FedEx Field and they almost collapse onto his leg and shatter the bones. And he's like, hey, that was something. He doesn't get upset. He doesn't get flustered. He's not going to be emotional about it. He gets it. He knows how it works. He just goes out and plays. And he could play himself into that franchise quarterback gig. Or they could decide, you know what? We could keep Jalen Hurts and not have to pay him $50 million plus per year. Maybe we can pay him $30 and use that money to otherwise have a great team, and maybe he'd be fine with that. So I'm not saying it's a done deal. I'm just saying we don't understand generally. We as fans and media that the Eagles are constantly looking. They're determined to get one of those top 5 guys at some point, and just like the Dolphins, just like the Giants, just like anyone that doesn't have a top 5 guy, they've got their eyes open. All right, speaking of a trio of top 5 guys, Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, and Lamar Jackson. I know some would argue whether or not Jackson's top 5. I think he's closer to top 5 than bottom of the top 5. Which doesn't belong and why in that group? Quarterbacks who lost their best receiver via trade in the offseason. Who doesn't belong?
Lamar Jackson, because no matter who his top receiver is, it kind of doesn't really matter because of the way that offense runs, right? That offense runs through Lamar Jackson and his legs and the running backs and the running backs' legs. Like that, it's just a run-based offense. So whoever that lead receiver is, it's going to change. It's going to do this. It's going to do that. They've got Mark Andrews at tight end. That's probably always going to be Lamar Jackson's top target, and that's okay. I mean, I have no problem with that. I mean, that's one of the great things about the NFL is there's more than one way to do things. But, you know, when you're talking about Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers, like those guys are going to be able to elevate their receivers in a different way because of the different structure of the offense and the different structure of their arms than Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens.
I agree with you again, but I'm going to apply a different take here just
you're
for the
concurring
purposes of
with
variety.
Me.
I concur. Concurring in part and dissenting in part. I'm going to say Aaron Rodgers just because of the 3, he is the most likely to publicly piss and moan about the hand he's been dealt. We've already seen it, right? He's got his Tuesday safe space with Pat McAfee. He can go on there and say, yeah, you know, we don't want we got guys that can't catch a football. I mean, Patrick Mahomes is never going to do that. Lamar Jackson is never going to do that. We know Aaron Rodgers will do it because he's done it before and he's done it recently. And if his collection of not Davante Adams's is not getting it done, he's not going to be bashful about telling the world what he thinks, Myles. Even in this new ayahuasca-fueled love of humanity, he ain't going to love that depth chart if they're dropping his passes and he can't trust them.
Well, if you took a look at Twitter yesterday and saw the things that Derek Carr and Davante Adams were apparently doing to the Patriots defense, that I'm sure he's like, there's that meme of like a cartoon character and he's like got the picture and it's like a picture of like whatever the meme is supposed to be. Like that was probably Aaron Rodgers on his phone, just like, oh, Davante, I miss you.
Of all the blows to the ego that Aaron Rodgers has surely taken over the past couple of years. And I've defended him as it relates to how the Packers have screwed around with him, the Jordan Love thing. What a mess, although it did spark him to have back-to-back MVP seasons because I think that motivation in part came from the decision to draft Jordan Love. But it really has to sting that the guy that he played with for 8 years chose Derek Carr over him. I mean, that's what it came down to. And I know, well, he wanted to live in Las Vegas. He wanted this. Look, yeah, but the quarterback is a fairly important coworker. And you chose Derek Carr over Aaron Rodgers, and Rodgers has to carry that around. And maybe that's why he went back to Peru or wherever he went for round 2 of ayahuasca, trying to process that.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.